This is a house I made. It is 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Let's take a look. So as you can see, I decided to put this house at a different angle than most of my other ones because you see Lego, it's designed so everything's in a 90-degree perpendicular grid. But I decided to make this one go a little angled, not just not the same thing again. So just make it a little more unique. So it's on a hinge and it's at an angle. And this roof, it was insane to figure out how to take it apart like a bunch of times and then rebuild whole sections a ton and like the whole roof basically. But anyways, so here's the house numbers. Oops. Yeah, there you go. There's the house numbers. It's the same as the numbers on the mailbox, obviously. Bay window. You can just get a good look at the front. And then in the garage there is a truck. So here's a truck. Maybe you can guess what make it is because of this little golden rectangle here. Maybe you can guess. And it's an extended cab. It's got a hitch on it. So a good old work truck from the 90s. And then in here, this is one of those cheap old campers. It's very simple, very kind of bland, very just a cheap old camper. And here's the inside of the camper. Very basic stuff. You got a bed, some countertops, a sink. This black thing's a little cooktop, a little stove, some flowers, just a bunch of random stuff, you'd find in a camper. I'll set these 2 things off to the side. And so turning this around, you have you got the big downspout here, and you got all these gutters. This is the best I could do to cover the gap from my weird angle, It's the best I could do to cover that up. So here's the hose, it's got the little handle. AC unit. Here's a dad and his son on a putting green. There's a little angled downspout. This lady's trimming the bushes. There's a privacy window. There's also a privacy window right there. And then there's the chimney. So that's the exterior. Let me turn it this way. And here's the interior. So you walk into the front door, and here's the living room. Very simple. A little tiny dining room in the corner. Fix that. And here's the fireplace. There's just some ashes down there. There's not a fire going. There's a TV. And then this is a very funky colored old bathroom. It's got a separate bathtub corner, and then you got a shower in the corner right here, and a toilet, and then the sink with the mirror, and there's toilet paper down there. And then in this little angle you have the first bedroom, and it's like shaped like the flag of Nepal. It's a very unique shape. Here's the closet. And there's not too much going on in this room. You got a little chair and a light and a bed. It's more of a guest bedroom. And then right here, I forgot to mention this is a burn barrel for getting rid of foliage and lawn stuff like dead leaves. And right here, it's barely visible. Like, you can't even really see it, so I do that. So under the stairs, you see there's a little tiny little kitchen. There's a fridge. There's a stove with a little bridge. It's not fully pressed in though. Then there's an air fryer. There's an oven, a sink, pizza sitting on the bay windowsill. There's the stairs back. So it's all kind of cramped under there. And then here's the door to the garage, and here's the water heater and the AC unit. Nothing too much going on in the garage. And I think that's about it for the first floor. Now the second floor, you walk up from the stairs, a little balcony, not balcony, but a little fence thing right here, railing to stop you from falling. And then you walk in, start with this room. Here's a bedroom, and it's got a closet right here, and there's clothes and stuff, and a dresser. So it's basic, not too much going on. And in this bedroom, you have a laptop on the ground, which is supposed to be on the bed or the table. And then a little dresser right here with the trophy. So it's a bigger bed. So this is the parents' bedroom. And then there's the closet. And there's some dressers. And I'll go ahead and put the roof back on. This one was a doozy to build because all the weird angles, I had to take apart so many things so many times. And so yeah, it was a really hard one, but it really stretched my brain a lot. It was a good exercise for my brain, just trying to figure out how to get all these ridiculous angles. And you saw that in a Paul Flag bedroom. But yeah, that's about it.